Hello everyone, so this video will cover how to create a 4 camera render from this one camera itself, and I'm gonna get started over here. So first thing you do a set project, and you are just gonna use the studio setup that we have with your insect that you have done. So I'll just set my project correctly, and you open to the project file that you have with your insect. So let's say mine is this file over here. Just open it up, and then you'll see that you have all the materials and hypershade over here. So this is the hypershade which will allow you to manage all the materials. Okay, so just close this for now. So let's say I have this insect guy over here, and the view is looking pretty cool. So and then you have the lighting setup and the balls, shader balls. So okay, first thing I can do, I can just hide my balls over here from my layers, and then I'm just gonna look at the panels that we have. So we will create a camera from here, and you would do a camera angle from this direction. So go to perspective, camera, and we will position our camera in this location. So put it on this location over here, and you'll see that over here below you are looking at the camera one. So this is the camera that I've just created, and not the render camera that is in the default. So it's my camera, and let's say I'm happy with this view, I want to render it, and then I'm just gonna make sure I open up the resolution gate. Okay, over at your view, camera settings, resolution gate, so that you have this mask over here. Okay, and then remember we talk about how to change the this resolution to our HD resolution over here. So just gonna come here and change it right now. Presets, change it over here to HD 1080, which is what we want. Pretty high definition, and so the feedback is immediate. Use over here, and it will be okay. And then we can just minimize this for now. You see over here we have a time slider, and remember I mentioned before that you can actually do a save the keyframe to actually save the camera on this keyframe. So I only want to have four keyframes saved, right? So we just need to look at 4 frames over here. So I go ahead and type in 4, and then I have 4 frames over here, which is fine. So I'm just gonna key it one by one. So let's say I'm happy with this. So this is the first keyframe I'm gonna set. Go ahead and press S over here. You see this red line appearing, and this is a key. So it's good. This camera now has a key on the first frame. So now if I will be itchy hand and then zoom out, I just need to come over here and bam, it's gonna snap back to my first keyframe because I set it this way. Okay, so that's my first keyframe done for rendering, and I'll put it here. Second keyframe, let's try to get it from another direction. Let's say I want it more towards the front. Okay, so the four frames of render you have determine how good your model is going to look, right? So we want to make sure that the silhouette and the design of the model is being utilized properly. So let's say the second one, I try to put it in the front view, and it's kind of tight towards camera. Everything is nice, but with a little bit of spacing, you know. So keep it that way. Click my camera on the outliner again, just make sure I'm controlling it correctly. And then on the second camera, second frame, I'm just gonna left click once more, and then press S again. Second keyframe, so there's 1 red line here, 2 red line here. So 2 keyframes set. Feels good, man. So okay, third keyframe. Go ahead and okay, I'm just gonna press F to focus on this guy, so that it's gonna be more intuitive. So it's just gonna focus on this guy, and when I rotate around, it's gonna make more sense over here. And then you don't really need to be totally on the side view, you know, but I kind of like it with a little bit of perspective as well. So it's kind of a bit more interesting. And then you can put it this way. Third view, set. Press S. Set the keyframe. And then we have 1 perspective, 1 front view, 1 back view, one side view, one front view, one side view, and I have one and then one from the top view. So I think how should I do a back view? Kinda deciding at this point. Should I do a back view? I think I'm just gonna do a top view. Okay, so top view, go ahead and zoom in a little bit, then it's gonna look something like this. And click my camera again, click here, press S. Boom, full view, easy. This perspective can be called the beauty view, I guess, and then front view, and side view, and then top view. So 4 frames, very smooth, very easy. And then I'm just gonna quickly apply a material throughout this mesh. Okay, and then try not to look at the wireframe. I know it's a lot, and it's in triangles, but this is just for demonstration purposes. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly put the V-Ray metal kitchen silver over here. Quickly apply this material. Oh, actually it looks pretty good here. And this studio lighting already has the lighting set up, so I can just do a double check right now to just see if I have the click on the hypersheet over here, and then you get this hypersheet out, and then I can oops, okay, it's kinda laggy. It's not what I wanna do. Okay, so I just wanna go here and check my HDRI whether it's loading properly. And yep, it should be. Okay, but just in case, I'm just gonna double click on this again to make sure that it's 100% loading correctly. Yeah, because it should kind of have this feedback over here. Okay, and then I will have my HDRI and my lighting already set up. You should have it too. And so now we need to do a batch render. Okay, so we have the camera set. We have I think okay. Actually, I'm just gonna save it right now. Just do another increment save. Version up once, and you know that this version you have the camera set up already. Everything is good. The resolution is good as well. And now we are just going to do a batch render. So what's a batch render? Batch render, you render the 4 frames all together and then right into your project directory. So this is my project directory. This is my thumb drive, and then my student file, and then this is my project directory. So under this project directory, I'm just gonna have these images over here, and this is where the render will go to. So as long as you set your set project correctly, that's why set project is very important. Your render will go into images folder over here. Okay, so go and double check on my camera again. Oh my, still saving. Okay, so sometimes it takes a while to save .ma file. So just be calm and let it save. Don't try to stop the file because it might get corrupted. And remember to always do an increment save. Okay, so we are good. We are back. See, so we have the 4 views, and the material looks good. Ready to do some renders, and then by right you should just do some test renders first. Okay, so I'm just teaching you now. So you should do some test renders over here. Okay, you can test the resolution down a little bit so that your render is faster. But when you want to do the batch render, you click it back. So let's say I want to do a test render. I'm rendering over here, so I do a test render over here. This resolution is gonna render pretty slowly, much faster this way. Okay, I'm not gonna wait for the full render. I can do a render camera run, and then it's gonna render the camera rightly. So okay, so it's gonna just render camera run, frame 1, the frame I'm at, and then it's just gonna do a test resolution for me over here. And you see it's much faster when I'm doing a test resolution. Okay, but you get the picture. It's much faster when you do a test resolution. But when you're done and you want to do a full render, go over here and make sure you come back and off your test resolution back to the default render setting. So this is important. Don't submit your work with or just finish your render of your model with just a low res render. That would be stupid. So make sure you're on high render settings, and then it might take a while, but let it load. Okay, it's worth it. So when when you do a good model and you apply a good material with the good lighting, it's worth it. But yeah, so don't compromise on your render quality. Okay, so we have the resolution good, we have the render settings good, and then we go to our render settings. So just now I have it out over here. So we close this. So when you click on this guy, you have the render settings again, and this is the image file output, which will determine the file name prefix of the model. So let's say mine is a robotic insect scorpion, so I can call it robotic scorpion maybe, and I'll just leave it like this. Just want to put a, don't think I need an underscore behind. Okay, so I'm just gonna name it like this. You can also put a version. Let's say I just want to put it as version 1, and then I put it as JPEG. Remember, the highest quality is TIFF, but for what we have, JPEG is fine too. We don't need to save the alpha channel, not this time. And then yeah, just keep our settings this way. Okay, so it's gonna work for us. So robotic scorpion version 1, don't save alpha channel because we only have JPEG. And then render cameras, camera 1. Okay, so just check through all your presets and stuff, make sure you're happy with it. And then what this gonna do is that later we would just do a batch render together, and you'll just render the 4 frames for us, so you don't need to wait too long for it. You can go get a coffee, do your other assignments, and then come back for it, get a Starbucks, and then come back after an hour, and you will render the 4 frames all into the directory you have in the project over here. So yeah, we are good. So close this up. Now what we're going to do is we will go to rendering. Okay, you go to rendering tab. Make sure you go over here to change the rendering tab, and you kind of want to make sure that let's say I'm just gonna do a last example here. Okay, so bear with me 1 second. So let's say you have those supporting edge loops. Remember, you have those supporting edge loops all over your cubes, and if you want it to look more polished, and you want it to look like this, so this is smooth preview mode. Yeah, smooth preview. So when you render it, it's not gonna look like this. When you render it, it's gonna look like this still. So when you press number 3, this is smooth preview. So this is just a preview. So if you want it to look like this in the render, now is the time to smooth it. So what you should do is you come back here and then press smooth on this file, and look at this. This is gonna smooth it, and you'll see these imperfections here, but this is just how it is. It's the smoothing mode based on the normals and how it calculates the smoothness for you. So that's why you need to add the supporting edge loops, and you see that those areas with the supporting edge loops, it looks much cleaner and makes more sense when you actually want it to be polished or have the kind of look to it. Okay, so now is the time to smooth it. So you should go ahead and smooth it, or smooth some areas of your insect, and then save it. Save. I'm just going to demonstrate as another version up before you mesh smooth your stuff, and after you mesh smooth your stuff, and then you try to put some file names there on your file, and you kind of name it as mesh smooth like this, and then you're saying that this mesh is now mesh smooth, and then there's no turning back, but you have a previous version of file, version 5 and version 6, that is non-mesh smooth. Okay, so that's the perfect workflow that you have, and you should take note of. Okay, so back to this. Let's say my model is perfect and everything is done and it's smooth, and I'm ready to render. Okay, finally. And we're just gonna render here. Batch render. Rendering, render, batch render. Okay, and you are just going to click on the options here. Actually, let me check on my settings again. Check on my settings, and oh, jokes. Okay, so on the last check over here, under here you have common, other than this image file output, that's animation. So make sure it's enabled as a standard. Okay, and then we are just gonna put start frame as frame number 1, end frame as frame number 4. Okay, I almost forgot about this, so that's not good. And yeah, so make sure you do that. It's important, yeah. So don't want to miss out on this. And then it's just gonna render 4 frames for you. And now when you do a batch render, it's gonna do it nice and perfect. It's just gonna run it for me. And look at this. It's just gonna show you the logs over here, rendering with Vray. Let it run. Let it be good. And then we can also look at the output window over here, and just see how it's going. You know. And it will take a while, to be honest, and then but in the end it will just pop out over here when it's done, the 4 images of renders. Okay, so that's pretty good. And then so look at this, it's just gonna look at the percentage of rendering done, and it's just gonna show you the path right here as well. So if you don't know where it's saved, now is the time that you kind of grab this path over here, try to Control C on the keyboard. I think that works. Just gonna see, yeah, that works. So Control C on the keyboard also works, and you'll be able to do the render here. Okay, so let's pause for a minute, and then later we'll come back, and we will put this together with the render.